This is the U-Bolt Pro Wi-Fi Smart Deadbolt from Ultralock. This is a smart lock with a built-in biometric fingerprint reader. So in addition to what we see from other smart locks where it's putting in a security code or using the app to unlock the door, we also have the ability to use our fingerprint to do that too. Now, I do want to thank Ultralock for sending this product out and sponsoring this video, but don't worry, like always, we are still going to dive deep into this product, talking about the good and the bad. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and look at some of the features that this product offers. Looking here at the front of the box, we've got built-in Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, mobile app, and the fingerprint reader. If you flip it over onto the side, we've got 360-degree live fingerprint identification. This means that it is going to detect your fingerprint from any angle. We've also got auto unlock and smart auto lock, anti-peep numeric keypad with backlight. We've got a door sensor and a hidden key, which is pretty cool. I'll show you guys that in a second. Flipping it over to the back of the box, it does just work with this one configuration where you have got your deadbolt separate from the main handle, so do keep that in mind. And then over on the next side here, we've got the ability to manage users, share codes and e-keys. We got log records and the ability to connect it to things like Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant, and IFTTT. All right, so here is everything that comes in the box. We have got our manual and quick start guide in here. This is going to be the back plate that's going to go on the inside, and here is our keypad on the outside. So that's the keypad and our fingerprint reader right there. If we push the button here on the bottom, it's going to allow us to slide up and access the key right behind it. So that's a pretty cool feature that we have right in there. Let's see, we've got our door sensor over here. We've got our deadbolt with our strike plate and extra insert if we need that. Here is going to be the inside of our door. So this is going to be the inside part for our lock and unlock. We can pop this open for our batteries in here. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with how thin and small this is. So I'm pretty excited to get this installed. We've got all of our screws and bolts over here. We do over 4 batteries, and then here are the keys that are going to be used if you guys do need that. Okay, so now that we've seen everything that comes in the box, now we got the big task of getting this thing installed. Luckily, installing smart locks is really easy to do, so let's go over those steps right now. If you're new to setting up a smart lock, it's probably one of the easier things to do. Now, with my current lock, it's really easy to uninstall. There's really just 4 screws that we're going to be unscrewing. 2 of the screws are going to hold the lock in place. I'm going to take out those big long screws, and I can actually take the lock out. Now, as far as the deadbolt, I can pull the 2 screws at the front, and that will allow me to pull the deadbolt out. Now all I need to do is put the new deadbolt in using the same screws or the ones that came with the lock. Once that new deadbolt is in place, I want to put the front of the lock on. That one I need to line up the pin that is sticking out of the lock to make sure it goes through the deadbolt in the center. I'm going to push that through, and then on the other side, I'm going to install the mounting bracket. I'm going to take the 2 long screws, screw all that together to hold it in place, and then I just need to take the inside portion, connect the wire to it, which is going to give the outside power and the ability to use all of the features with it. And then from there, we're going to screw it to the internal mount with screws that are behind the batteries. So get that screwed in and connected, and then all you need to do is insert the batteries, and you're pretty much good to go. From there, you can go ahead and do the setup. Now, as far as the setup goes, that's also something that's really easy to do. You're going to download the app on your phone. Once you get it downloaded, you need to create an account. Now, one thing about creating an account is that you do have to put in your phone number. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's for some 2-factor authentication, because it does send you a code that you need to put in from your phone. So it will confirm that phone number, so make sure you're putting in the correct one. Once you go ahead and get that set up, it's going to create an admin account, and you'll be creating an admin PIN. That PIN is what you're going to use to unlock the front door for your account. Now you can set up other user accounts and create different PINs for them, but just keep in mind that admin PIN is going to be for your use. So once you have your account created, we're going to go ahead and set up a new lock. You're going to select new lock. You're going to pick the lock that you have. You're going to go through the steps, following all the on-screen instructions. Pretty easy to do. Connect it to Wi-Fi, and you're good to go. Now, one thing to keep in mind once you get this first set up is that the auto lock feature is automatically turned on. So as soon as you close that door, the door is going to lock on you. I did run into a bit of a scare when I went to go view the lock. Once I had it installed, I closed the door behind me to take a look at it, and it automatically locked the door right away. Thankfully, I had my phone on me to unlock it, and something that I had forgot is that I did set up that initial admin account with that admin PIN. So I could have used that to get into if I wanted to, but I will say I had a little bit of a scare when I set it up. I was like, I haven't set up my user account, but don't forget, you do have that admin account with that PIN that you've created to get back in. But keep in mind that auto locking feature is turned on by default. All right, so now let's take a look at some of the features that are provided in the app. Right here, we have got the app loaded up and we can see our lock right here. We've got the option of viewing our individual users right there, or next to it, we can view our logs if we want to quickly just view those. If I go ahead and tap on the lock, it's going to go ahead and connect to that lock and give us some status. So we've got the door is currently closed and the door is locked. We can go ahead and tap on that for it to unlock the door for us. So we see now it is green and it says it is unlocked. We're gonna go ahead and tap it again and it's going to lock the door for us. Below that, we have the options for setting up users and viewing our logs. So I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna take a look at the logs. So here are the different logs. You can set up pictures for different people or not, and it's gonna tell you what every little thing is. Right now, we can see that I just used the app to unlock and lock the door. We've got options here for fingerprinting, whether it worked or not, if the door is manually opened or closed. So lots of real detail that we can see, and we can see it by user base. Right here below, we've got all this manual stuff that was happening. So it didn't register anybody as far as doing it. But when I did stuff that was registered to me, whether it was my PIN code or my fingerprint or doing it through the app, it has my name with my picture set up right there. Now let's back out of here and go ahead and take a look at users. If we look at users, there are a couple different options for setting up users. So we've got myself here, which is admin. We've also got my daughter, which I set up. And it was really cool to see that with the fingerprint reader, I was able to set my daughter up with that and it was able to scan her finger. I have used other locks in the past that had the fingerprint reader and it wasn't able to detect kids' fingerprints. Now, it said that kids' fingerprints weren't fully developed, all of that stuff, and it wasn't able to work, but I was really happy to see that it was actually working with our lock right here. So I was able to set my daughter up with her fingerprint, took her picture and set her up. Now, one thing that I noticed in here too is that you've got the options for configuring a passcode. We've got the option of setting up 2 different fingerprints on this and then giving her app access if we want to do that. I'm gonna back out of here because I noticed there was no way of setting up or giving her maybe a schedule if I wanted to do that. But I found if we go ahead and add a new user, we've got a couple of different options for user type. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on that. We can set up a user as an admin, meaning they have control to delete and do different things on the app. They also have the ability to view all the locks if we manage multiple locks. We've also got normal user, which is what she set up as, and then we've got a temporary user. So if you click on the temporary user, here is where you're going to be able to set a schedule for when they're going to have access to the lock and not. Let's go ahead and back out of here and go ahead and take a look at the settings up in the top corner. So I'm going to click on settings here. We've got our device information, we've got our switch location, we've got our battery. So it's going to tell us our battery level. And speaking of battery levels, this lock, even though it has Wi-Fi built into it, says that it can get about 6,000 uses of the lock before the batteries died. And it said that if you use the lock for 16 times a day, you should get a full year of battery life out of it, which I was shocked. I've never seen anything that long with built-in Wi-Fi in the lock. So I'm really surprised and curious to see if it's actually going to last that long. Below that, we have got lock sounds. So the lock does make chimes and different things like that. You can turn that off here. We have our smart notifications. So I don't have any smart notifications turned on right now, but if we wanted to do that, here are the 3 options we can do for our smart notifications. Let's back out of there. We have got our lock mode. So it's normal right now. You can also put lockout, meaning that nobody can use that lock. Backing out of there, we have got our auto lock. So this one is automatically turned on. Anytime I close that door, it's automatically going to lock that door. Now I do have the door sensor set up and it is paired right there. And then you can also have a relock time. So if you want to set it up for something a little longer, you can do that. Let's see, if we slide it up here, you can go all the way up to 5 minutes before it'll automatically lock the door. I think I had mine set for 30 seconds, so we'll leave it at the 30 seconds. Okay, backing out of there, we also have the option for auto unlock. Mine is currently disabled right now, but essentially with auto unlock, it sets up a geofence around your house. What you have to do though is you have to get a certain distance away from your house. This one right here, let's see if we go to the next step right here, says that you have to get outside of about 300 meters or about 1,000 feet away from your house, and then it's going to put your app into away mode. You have to first go into away mode before you can come back in and it registers that you're home. Because I've had this issue where I set this and I was testing it and I walked down the street, maybe 2 houses down, and then I came back to my house and I tried to get this to work and it wasn't working. I thought it was broken. I was like, this thing is a piece of junk. It's not working. No, the reality is that you need to get a certain distance away from your house to trigger an away mode. before you trigger back to a home mode, meaning back in that space right there. So just keep that in mind, that if you want to use this feature right here, you do have to get a certain distance away from your house. So we'll back out of that. We've got the direction of our lock, so that is going to be if the lock is facing one way or another. Connected it to Wi-Fi, you got firmware and all of that stuff right here. So those are all the different functions that you're going to be able to get out of this lock right here. I also want to mention too, let me go ahead and back out of settings right here, back out of here. Up in the top left corner, we see our 3 dashes right there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and we've got the option for works with. So we have this option here for Amazon Alexa. I can connect this into my Amazon ecosystem, and that is going to allow me to use this lock in my smart home automations. One of my favorite smart home automations to do is to use my smart lock as a trigger. And what I mean by that is that I've got an automation set up that anytime I unlock my smart lock at a certain time of day, it is automatically going to turn on the smart switch that I have for my porch lights. What that means is that I don't have to worry about my kids now opening up the front door without the porch lights being on. I don't want them opening up the door and it being dark out there. As soon as they unlock that front door, it's gonna go ahead and trigger those porch lights to turn on. They turn on for 10 minutes and then automatically turns off. So another cool thing that you can do with your smart lock if you integrate it into your smart home. All right, now what would a review be without talking about the pros and the cons of this lock? I will say the things that I liked about this lock, it was super easy to install. Probably one of the easiest locks that I have actually installed. Another thing that I was really surprised to see that I really liked is how quick it was. When I would try to unlock the door or for automatically lock, it actually moved the lock faster than I normally see with other smart locks. So it was going from a lock to an unlock position relatively quickly, which I really liked to see. Another thing that I really like too is that this being a Wi-Fi lock, it has such a long battery life. That's something I typically am not seeing with other Wi-Fi smart locks. Now, some things that I wasn't a big fan of with this lock, even though it locks itself pretty quickly, I thought it was kind of loud. I mean, louder than what I've heard from other locks. So other locks, a little bit slower, a little bit quieter. This lock, a little bit faster and a little bit louder. But if I'm being honest, it wasn't insanely loud, but it was just something that I did notice. If you have not had other smart locks, you probably won't notice it at all. But since I had just tested out a few other smart locks, it's just something that stood out to me. Another thing that some people might have a problem with is that when you do set up the lock, you do have to put in your phone number. I know some people don't like doing that, so I mean, I guess that's a con. For me, I don't really care. And then the other thing, if I'm just being nitpicky about it, was that the auto lock feature was on by default. I really like that it has that feature, but like I said, it kind of gave me the scare when I initially set it up and I closed the door and it locked, and I was like, oh crud, I haven't set up an actual user profile for me yet, forgetting that I had done the admin one. But everything was fine. I did get back in the house with no problems. That's just a feature that I was not expecting to be on by default, and something that I think that I would rather turn on when I'm ready to use it instead of right when I get the lock installed. But I mean, nothing that was really all that bad with this lock. I will say, after using several different locks, this U-Bolt Pro might be my favorite one. I love that it's got the fingerprint reader. I love that it's got physical buttons that you can actually push on it. It does notify you when the battery does start getting low, which is really nice. It's nice and compact and small, something super easy to set up. So as of right now, with all the locks that I have been setting up recently, this is gonna be my main default one. But what do you guys think? Have you tested this one out? Have you used it? What are you using right now? Let me know in the comments. Let's have a discussion. I am planning, since I've done so many of these lock ones, we are going to be doing kind of a recap video talking about my favorite locks, what I liked, what I didn't, about a bunch of different ones. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that video. If this video was helpful for you, give it a thumbs up. Let me know that you liked it. As always, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you guys in the next video.